Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here on Go Local Live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'd like to welcome Emily Luther. She's a Woonsocket native and she just made NBC's 13th season of The Voice. Emily, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's like an absolute pleasure to speak with you today.
Yeah, this is so great. We're so excited to have you. So you had your appearance on The Voice last week, so we're glad that we can touch base with you. You are no stranger to singing and being in the public eye, and many people in Rhode Island do know you. So I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about your performance and what it was like for you to be up on that stage. So let's get into it. We're all here in Rhode Island pretty proud of you. Always like to throw our support behind Rhode Islanders, so talented. Talk to me just a little bit about what it was like up there on that stage.
I think for me it was incredibly surreal. A lot of people don't realize that you're kind of sequestered for about a month before the actual blind auditions take place. So there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of working with vocal coaches, you're working with wardrobe, you're working and learning about different artists that are also in the same position as you, and it's really stressful up until that point because you don't even know if you're going to audition. So it was a surreal experience for me because I didn't know which way it would go. My song choice was a little bit more of the jazzy, more classic style. So I just kind of went into it with an open mind, and it worked out really well, and I felt really good about it. But overall, it was a little overwhelming, and I'm still like, every morning I wake up and like pinch myself because I'm like, is this really happening in my life right now?
Well, it's so awesome, and you sang beautifully enough to get 3 coaches to turn around. Yeah, it's so cool. What was it like for you as you were on stage? And you talked a little bit about your song choice. You sang "Summertime," and it was a little bit jazzy, so elegantly singing. What went into that song choice?
Yeah, so pretty early on in the audition process, we were instructed to put together a list of songs that we would love, in a perfect world, to perform on the show. And I had seen a version of "Summertime" by Annie Lennox years ago that I fell in love with. And it was always kind of in the back of my mind where I would say, oh, that would be a really cool song to do live someday. And I put it on, I think it was like number 1 or number 2 on my list that I submitted to NBC. And for some reason, like within a few days of even submitting it, I just had this feeling like that's the song, that's the one. I know it sounds so cheesy, but I ended up having a dream about it, that I was singing "Summertime" on the Voice stage, and that's kind of how it happened. I just wanted something that was different and something that really kind of stayed true to my artistry, and it was "Summertime," and I was stoked. It was just an awesome experience to be able to be true to myself on that show and on that stage.
I think that's amazing. If you have a dream about something, I think that's so neat to be able to say you were true to yourself. Talk to me a little bit about that, to what it means for you to be true to yourself, because you've had this career where you've done this before, and so you decided that you wanted to go out and perform on The Voice. Talk to me just a little bit about the music that you want to sing and that you want to perform.
Sure. So I've kind of been in the music scene, the whole business for quite some time now, and I knew after I'd kind of lost everything, Ellen's label unfortunately didn't quite work out. So I went on my own and had some pretty negative experiences with, managers and different people around me that I felt kind of led me in a direction where it really wasn't about the music anymore. So I did what I needed to do. I came back to Rhode Island and I kind of regrouped and reorganized my life and my brain to feel good about myself and to find out what I really wanted to do and be as an artist. So staying true to me is really just staying true to my roots. There's nothing wrong with morphing together some jazz with some pop, with some R&B soul. I really just want to incorporate all those things and kind of create my own lane on this show. Whatever the outcome, that was really what it was all about. I think a lot of people would ask me, well, why do The Voice? And I said, well, I'd always kind of objected to it because I thought, what could happen? What if they reject this? What if they don't want this? What if, I don't even make it past the blinds? But I finally got to the point where I thought, if they don't like it, they don't like it. I'm still a singer. I'm still Emily Luther. I'm still this artist, and I have to be comfortable with that artist no matter what. So that's it took me a really long time to get to that point, but I worked really hard to get there and to feel good about myself.
Well, congratulations. Good for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Congratulations for making that journey, for making the journey to feel comfortable in yourself and comfortable in your talent. You certainly deserve everything. And I know we're certainly going to see much more from you, whether it's on The Voice or somewhere besides that. So
thank you.
It's very exciting to be able to see you on the national stage. You mentioned it just a moment ago. This isn't your first time in that national spotlight. A couple years ago, you performed on the Ellen Show, and now on The Voice. What is it like to be in the national spotlight? Whether it was before when you're a little bit younger, you're still very young, but and now once again, what is it like to have this national attention?
I think, it's funny you ask that, because when that video hit, I was 19 years old. So I was kind of thrown into it fairly young. I mean, not as young as, some people get thrown into the spotlight at 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
But I had to grow up pretty fast. In the entertainment industry, there's always going to be people that love you, and then there's always going to be people that hate you. And that can be really difficult when you're growing up and becoming your own woman or your own man. Feeling good and feeling like, you know what, there's always going to be someone who just doesn't like you, and that's just what that's just comes with the territory. So it's always become a little bit normal for me to just be in a little bit of that spotlight. But now as an adult, I have such a different perspective where I go, oh my gosh, I was so young when I experienced that at first, that now I'm a little bit more cautious with who I let into my life and the people that I share like the deepest parts of me. I just have to be a little bit more cautious. But it's one of those things. It's a job, and being in the spotlight and being out on the music scene it's what I do for a living, and you have to just go with whatever comes with that territory.
Understandable. I can imagine that must be difficult, especially when you were 19. That's a whole lot of eyes on you when you're not very old.
It was a little weird. There was a lot of mistakes made, but hopefully not everything was on camera, so that's good.
That's always good. Let's talk a little bit about moving forward. You had Blake turn around for you, you had Jennifer Hudson turn around for you, and you had Adam Levine turn around for you. All these superstars of the music industry talking about you. That had to be pretty neat. You went with Team Adam. What are you looking forward to as you move forward? I mean, we know how the show works. It's taped in the past, but what can fans look forward to as we see you move forward on the show?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the when I watched season 11, I was really impressed with Billy Gilman, another fellow Rhode Islander, and his journey and what he was all about. So I really respected Adam Levine's approach with him and his idea for Billy as an artist. And a lot of after you perform your song for the blind auditions, obviously they edit it down for the television show. But there was a good 10, 12 minutes of us talking, and
wow.
I really connected with Adam and what he had to say. He's like, you're a classic singer, that's who you are, that's where you live. And I felt that he and I just kind of connected on that level where, I am who I am. I know that it might be a little bit different for the show, but this is what I'm doing. And he was super supportive of that. And I think, wherever this leads, I think people will see that it's just a girl from Rhode Island staying true to herself and enjoying the journey and singing your butt off with every song. And that's really all you can ask for. So
that's so great. I love that. I didn't realize that. I mean, you can tell that they edit down the conversations, but I didn't realize it was that lengthy of a conversation. That's awesome. It must feel pretty neat.
Sometimes they're even like, okay, we need to like wrap it up,
guys. That's cool. Let's talk about your Rhode Island roots. It's so neat. You said I'm just a girl from Rhode Island singing her butt off. That's so cool. So you have the background, and you grew up singing. You grew up in theater. You performed at the Stadium Theater. You performed with Kaleidoscope Children's Theater. Talk to me just about some of the memories that you have performing in Rhode Island.
Yeah. So. I started doing theater around 9 years old, and I started working with a vocal coach at the same age. Natalie De Resendes from One Voice Studios. And she really got me into just giving back to the community, not always singing for money, but singing for a purpose and to give back. So I did a lot of that. I did a lot of fundraisers. I did a lot of, children's theater, just working with kids. And you'd meet kids from all different walks of life. And that was really exciting for me. And it was just gaining more and more exposure, number one, and experience. I mean, that was huge. I remember being like 12 years old and having songs to learn in 2 days for a performance. Wow. That was in 5 days. And it's like, you have to grow up fast, but I had a passion for it and I loved what I did and I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life. And I did it and I committed to it. And yeah, it's kind of weird because I was young, but that's what I wanted to do.
Nothing wrong with that. And you obviously made a good choice because you're very talented at what you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because it is Rhode Island and we have such a great food scene here, I have to ask you, do you have any favorite Rhode Island restaurants?
Oh my gosh, Venda Ravioli on the Hill.
Of course.
Which I try to just limit myself to like once a month, every 6 weeks. Like, 'cause if I go, I'll just keep going back.
Yeah.
And before I know it, I'm like, I can't fit in my jeans.
Of course.
Venda Ravioli, Ciro's in Woonsocket. That's like my old stomping ground. I love that place. And pretty much anywhere like on Federal Hill. I mean, I'm not Italian, but I should be because it's all we eat in my family. So good. I'm all about going anywhere on Federal Hill.
Heading up to the hill. It's a true gem that we have here in Rhode Island.
I know, it's so good. There's nothing like it anywhere else you go.
It's so good to hear. I want to talk to you a little bit about what else you love about Rhode Island. When you get a chance to come home, what do you like to do? What are some things when you're not singing, when you're not performing, what else do you like to do?
So I'll tell you, the first thing that I usually do when I'm traveling, and it's usually out to the West Coast, is I usually go down to Iggy's. Nice. I usually get like a lobster roll. This is so disgusting. I can't believe I'm saying this live. I usually get a lobster roll, clam cakes, chowder, and like French fries.
Yes.
And a Diet Coke, because the diet, you need that for all. It's like it doesn't negate any of that you just ingested into your body. But I usually take my little dog. We go down to the beach. We get that food. We go sit on the beach. We run. That's like everything to me. It's like I'm such a beach girl, and a foodie as well. That's pretty much my routine. Every time I come back from the West Coast, that's what I do. Go down to Iggy's.
Oh my goodness. I'm a big clam cake fan myself, so it's always hard. People are like, well, where's your favorite place to get clam cakes? I'm like, how do you pick?
Yeah. I'm such and it's funny because like when you're here, you're like, I can get it any time, but then like when you go to the West Coast or anywhere else, you're like, man, I could go for some clam chowder right now.
Exactly. We're spoiled here in Rhode Island with all of our delicious seafood. Talk to me a little bit about your dog. You have you post a lot about your dog, kind of your fur baby, on your social media page.
I do. So she was my rescue. So when I moved to LA, when I first moved to LA, right after the Ellen DeGeneres show, a friend of mine was like, I need you to foster this dog for 2 weeks while I find her a home. And she couldn't walk, and She was hit by a car, so she had no feeling in her right hip and couldn't walk. So naturally, I had to take her, and that just happened to be Winnie Cooper. And within a day, I knew. I was like, she's totally my dog. I'm never giving her up, and she goes everywhere with me. I mean, other than the set of The Voice, she's pretty much my right hand lady on the streets here.
Well, we love foster failures. We absolutely love that. I'm big in the rescue world, and so I always appreciate when someone can foster or do adoption. Just take care of pets, make a big difference in your life. So do you think that it was Winnie Cooper's powers that helped you get through the voice auditions?
Yeah, I mean, I would, it's just so cheesy, but I have pictures of her. Oh my God, the sun is so bright. I feel like it's moving with me. Sorry. I have pictures of her on my phone. Should I move this way? There we go.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. I have pictures of her on my phone. And so she's on my background, or she'll be on my, my Facebook or whatever. So whenever I was having a stressful moment, I would just look at her face She's so cute. I mean, she's really weird looking, but she's so sweet and precious and lovely. So she definitely helped me. And my mom would put her on FaceTime at any point, which was great. And I'm sure she had no idea who she was talking to, but it's fine. I know.
You definitely know. What else? You know, we've talked a little bit about your past experience. We've talked a little bit about your dog. We talked a little bit about Rhode Island restaurants. What else do you want people to know in Rhode Island about you who might not know you already?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of questions as to, I mean, this is like where I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
You know, I disappeared from the music scene for quite some time. There was a lot of mental health issues that I was going through when I was dealing with just the negativity of the music industry that kind of got me into this really deep and dark place with depression and anxiety. And, you know, before The Voice, I don't think I would have felt as comfortable just like talking about it and being like, hey, this is part of my life. But I guess I just want people to be aware that like that, you know, the music industry has, you know, obviously some positive, but there's also the negative side of it too, that, you know, I think it's important for people to recognize, and that it's good to, you know, encourage young women or young men to be themselves, to be true to themselves, to not feel like they have to fit a mold in order to be successful. I had to figure that out the hard way by kind of going through that. But if people in Rhode Island, especially young people too, can see my story and know that I'm just goofy Emily from Rhode Island, then that's really what matters to me. And I'm doing this cool TV show, so there you go.
Well, good for you, and I think it's really important that you took a step back, and taking care of your mental health is something that's so important that everybody, you know, taking care of yourself is definitely the number one thing, and careers can always take second place. Whether
absolutely.
It's singing, whether it's being a lawyer or doctor, whatever, you know, you need to take care of yourself, so good for you.
Thank you so much. It's crazy because I think if you asked me 2 years to like if I would be comfortable even discussing it, I'd probably be like, oh my God, I don't want people to know. But, you know, the stigma around that is you know, it is fading away. People are becoming more comfortable being like, hey, you know, are you okay? Or are things not okay with you? We need to be able to talk about it.
Exactly.
It's really important.
Yeah, well, good for you. Good for you for being brave, strong, open, and honest. I think we all need to make those steps and help each other out, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. We'll talk a little bit more about your music, and then I'll let you go because I know you have a busy schedule ahead of you. Talk to us just a little bit about, you know, we heard your voice and can't wait to hear as you continue to sing and head into the battle rounds. Talk to us a little bit about your inspirations and kind of who you admire as you continue singing.
For me, I mean, I listen to all different types of music, which is kind of funny because even my parents, like, I'll be listening to music and they're like, what are you listening to? It could be like rap, it could be R&B, could be pop, could be soul, could be, you know, neo soul. Like, it's just a mix of everything. But I'm a huge fan of Annie Lennox, a huge fan of Jason Mraz. You know, I do love Maroon 5, which their Songs About Jane album is awesome, and I still listen to that. I listen to John Mayer, and really just people, you know, musicians out there that are trying to break the mold and to be, you know, to be creating something new and something that kind of stretches the ears a little bit more. I respect it. So I just try to stay open and stay inspired. That's it.
Awesome. Love that. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining us today on Go Local Live. We really appreciate it. So hopefully everyone here at home in Rhode Island and the New England area got to know you a little bit better as you continue your journey on The Voice and then continue beyond.